think about creative ways that the average person can get like a really good looking home for Christmas and do it affordably.
I mean, you know, there are some people that will use something like a cherry tree branch. We have done in the past where you've taken mahogany pods, the actual, when they split, and they've actually used those and drilled holes and used those as ornaments, but sprayed. Some of the natural, like breadfruit leaves, things like that, that you can actually spray paint and you can use as part of the overall design. There are many places here that sell reasonably priced decorations where you can get good quality but at bargain prices, and I would have to say that Woolworth is the go-to place.
DIY type stuff is YouTube, you know. It's always a good place to go to find creative ideas. I guess the thing is to decide on a theme that you like. You know, if you want something traditional, there's tons of information out there.
The problem is as well, I think, you know, it's DIY overseas is very different from DIY here. You can go into a dollar store and you can buy pots of glitter, really cheap pots of glue. Unfortunately here, DIY doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to be cheaper, because the costs just add up. What you think is, oh, I'm just going to add a little bit of glitter or a little bit of spray paint. But things that you can pick, like the mahogany pods that are a bit more natural, once you spray paint them, because they're porous, they soak up all the spray paint. So you need more and more and more and more and more. But agreed with Craig, you know, things like glittering bottles which aren't porous, you know, and adding those in a Christmas theme with maybe some twigs inside it, for sure you can do that. But it isn't as easy here to do DIY as it actually is overseas.
How can the average person go about planning their own Christmas party?
I think you have to start at the beginning. You have to have an indication of what sort of budget you're working within. Obviously making use of what you do have locally, like maybe adding a cocktail when people arrive that incorporates sorrel in it. You know, maybe it's alcohol based, maybe it's not. And then using other elements that I think, you know, like everybody loves their ham. But then incorporating the elements that are going to be less expensive for them into maybe their buffet or the menu for the evening. Invitations, you can easily make a DIY invitation, and that's something that's not going to be that expensive because it's just about creativity. Again, Pinterest, Facebook, not Facebook, YouTube, really helpful when looking to plan ahead.
Well, yeah, knowing your budget, and then from your budget extracting the things that are key. So if food and drink is the main focus, well, you got to determine what your budget is for those and take that out, and then kind of work backwards, you know. But it's really about prioritizing the things that you want most out of the party, or that you want your guests to get out of the party. You know, is it going to be a themed party where everybody's going to be dressing up? In which case, then making sure that the venue is themed properly would be the focus, as opposed to, you know, tons and tons of food and drink. So it's really, you know, what are the priority items, and then they will determine, you know, how much money you're going to spend on things like decorating, or lighting, or DJ, you know, whatever. But yeah, you need to know what you have to spend to begin with, because it can run away with you. Fabric is always a very good way to create decor, covering a large space without spending a huge amount of money. I mean, if I needed to hide this entire wall, you know, and I could either do it with tons of Christmas, you know, garland, or I could just drape it with fabric. You know, the fabric is going to cost me 5% of what the garlands will cost. The making your own really comes down to your level of creativity. You know, if you I don't know many accountants that would sit and glitter and paint stuff, you know. So it really depends on your level of creativity and how much you're willing to do or how much you're confident doing yourself.
I mean, take for instance, this year there is a big drive to get people to start making their own Christmas crackers. So you're not buying things with little plastic toys in that are going to be thrown away and that are eventually harming your environment. Taking a toilet roll tube and some crepe paper or tissue paper and then stuffing your own Christmas crackers and then tying it with a bit of ribbons, and that way you can make it either personalized or you can make it your own. One of my clients actually as well, when people come, they get their decorated glass and it's theirs for the night, so they're not reusing plastic, and it's more, it's kinder to the environment, and at the end of it they get their own personalized glass to take home with them.
Tinsel that you usually wrap around the tree, what would you say to get instead?
You can use forms of fabric. You can take crepe paper, but again, it's all things that are going to be purchased. So you can DIY it, but it's not necessarily going to be something that is...
Or you get the mesh.
Oh, I know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the glittered ribbon.
Yeah.
And you can make little flowers out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you could, you know, I've seen where you come down, you know, you start at the top with a big bow and then you come down these ribbons that are
On the side.
Yeah, so things like that.
You can
again,
make crepe paper or card or tissue flowers. You know, again, as Craig said, it comes down to how much effort you're willing to put in the creativity.